Scott Swing Sports, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back with my dad today, and let's get into our college football and NFL predictions for this weekend. First off, we'll start with the college bowl games for this
There's
week.
not enough bowl games, you know.
I know, right? First up, 11:30 a.m. today, the Duke's Mayo Bowl, North Carolina and South Carolina. I'm gonna go with Sam Howell, Mac Brown, and North Carolina to get the job done here. I think North Carolina's had a better season, so I'm gonna go with North Carolina to get it done.
I'm going to agree with Scott here. Typically, I go with the SEC school, but I think South Carolina is down this year. North Carolina underachieved. I think North Carolina wins, and apparently they get an unlimited supply of mayonnaise if they win.
Next up in the Music City Bowl, it'll be UCF's old buddy Josh Heupel and Tennessee heading in to Nashville to take on Purdue. Give me the Volunteers in this game, a virtual home game for Josh Heupel and the Volunteers here. I'll go with Tennessee to get the first win for the SEC in the bowl this bowl season with a win over Purdue.
I agree. Even if this is at a neutral site, I would take Tennessee. I think they've had a better season. I think the SEC was a better conference, but being that it's in Nashville gives them even more of an advantage. I like the Vols here.
Next up in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, this is usually on New Year's Day, not this year. It'll be Pitt and Michigan State. I'm gonna go with Sparty here. I think they didn't lose as many players as they as Pitt did. Kenny Pickett will not play tonight, getting ready for the draft. As is Kenneth Walker, also out tonight. But I'm gonna go with Michigan State to get it down here over Pitt.
I'm going to have to disagree with Scott on this. I think Pitt is the better team. I do think those two losses will be significant, so I think it'll be a very, very close game. But I'm going to take Pitt in a field goal type game.
Next up in the Las Vegas Bowl, it'll be Wisconsin and Arizona State tonight. Give me Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin was probably the best team out of the Big Ten West this year. Had a chance to go to the Big Ten championship game this year and lost to Minnesota in the final week of the season. So I'll go with Wisconsin over Arizona State here.
Yeah, I think the Pac-12 is pretty weak. I mean, they didn't show up at all. Oregon last night against Oklahoma. I think Wisconsin out of the Big Ten is a better team. I agree with Scott. Wisconsin gets the win.
Now into Friday's action. First up, Wake Forest and Rutgers. Rutgers got in here with, I believe, Texas A&M having too many positive tests this week. I'm going to go with Wake Forest to get it done. Wake Forest has had probably the best offense in college football this year. I'm going to go with Wake Forest over Rutgers.
This is the easiest pick of the week for me. I mean, Rutgers is 5-7 in a weak ACC. I like Wake Forest in this one.
Next up, Washington State and Central Michigan tomorrow in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I will go with I'm going to go with Wazoo. I think Wazoo's had a better year than Central Michigan, so I'm going to go with Washington State to get it done here.
I think this is going to be one of those situations where a smaller conference team's got a chip on their shoulder. They're going to play above themselves, and they're going to upset Wazoo in the Tony the Tiger Bowl.
Yeah.
Tony Tiger Bowl, we'll call it.
The winner gets doused in frosted flakes.
Funny. This one. Next up, Cincinnati and Alabama in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl tomorrow. Give me Alabama big in this game. I cannot wait to watch every single second of Cincinnati's final game of the season and their last chance of being good. So I'll take Alabama to crush Cincinnati tomorrow in the Cotton Bowl.
I agree with Scott. I think Alabama's going to win this one, but I think Cincinnati will keep it close for about a half. Alabama will make some halftime adjustments, and they'll probably pull away by about 2 touchdowns.
Next up, Georgia and Michigan tomorrow night in the Capital One Orange Bowl. I will go with, I'm going to stay for what I said. I'm going to go with Georgia in this game. I think Georgia's going to find a way to win this game. I think Georgia has a better team right here. So I'm going to go with Georgia to get it done here over Michigan.
It's a tough one to pick. 2 very good defensive teams, not great offensively, either one of them. I think Georgia's defense is better than Michigan. I think the SEC is better. I think in a low-scoring game, I like Georgia in this one.
Now into the New Year's Day games. First up in the Outback Bowl, Penn State and Arkansas. Give me Penn State. I think Penn State's had a better year. Arkansas just lost to some good teams this year. I'll go with Penn State to get it done.
I'm actually going to take Arkansas. The SEC West was crazy good this year. Arkansas beat some really good teams. Again, I'm not sold on the Big Ten. I think Arkansas wins this one.
Next up, Oklahoma State and Notre Dame. Notre Dame almost made it into the playoff this year. In my opinion, I think they should have. They had a I thought they were the better team this year than Cincinnati was. And I think they believe in their new head coach right now, so I'm going to take Notre Dame to get it done here in the Fiesta Bowl over Oklahoma State.
I'm gonna go with the best hair in college football and Mike Gundy. I think Oklahoma State has a chip on their shoulder after that loss to Oklahoma, and I think they go and beat Notre Dame by at least 7 points.
Next up, Utah and Ohio State. Give me Ohio State, even without their two best receivers. I think Ohio State will get it done over Utah.
I think it's gonna be a close game just because, again, Ohio State's got their two best receivers out. But I'm not sold on the Pac-12. I'm not sold on the Big Ten for that matter either, but I think Ohio State just has more talent. In a close game, I think they beat Utah.
I think I jumped over one. Next up, Iowa and Kentucky in the Citrus Bowl. Just because my buddy Terry Jewell was talking absolute crap about Tom Brady over the last couple of weeks,
Whoa.
I'm gonna go with Iowa to win this game. I think Iowa is going to find a way to win this game. Iowa was very good this year. Runners up in the Big Ten, so I'll take Iowa over Kentucky.
This is a tough game for me because on one hand, I've got my cousins who I grew up with who are big Iowa fans, and I've got Terry Jewell, who is one of Kentucky's greatest fans of all time, and I've got to weigh that. At the end of the day, I got to go with Terry Jewell and the Kentucky Wildcats. I think they're just a better team. I think he's a better fan than my two cousins up in Iowa, so give me the Wildcats out of the SEC.
Next up, Baylor and Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. I'm gonna go with Baylor. I think Baylor will find a way to win this game. I don't think Matt Corral's gonna play here. I think he's getting ready for the draft. So I'm gonna go with Baylor over Ole Miss.
I agree with Scott. If Matt Corral does not play, give me Baylor in this one. If Corral does play, then I'll take Ole Miss.
Same. Next up, LSU and Kansas State, final game of the bowl season in the Texas Bowl. I'm gonna go with LSU. I think LSU's had a better year coming out of the SEC, so I'll take LSU over K-State.
It's a tough game to pick because I don't know whether either team really wants to be there. I think Kansas State wants to be there more than LSU. LSU's been up and down all year. I'm going to take Kansas State just because I think they want to be there more than LSU.
Okay. And let's see if I've got any.
I think you got it.
Nope.
All right,
Okay.
NFL.
Into the NFL games. First game out, Bucs and Jets in New York. The Bucs have never beaten the Jets in New York ever, but I think the Bucs will finally beat them this week. I think Tom Brady's on a mission to get that number 2 seed in the NFC, so I think the Bucs will find a way to get this done in New York against the Jets.
Before I make this pick, let me take a drink out of my new Bucks cup here, courtesy of Luke Roberts from Arbor School. Delicious. Thank you, Luke, for this wonderful cup. I think the Buccaneers are going to roll here. Jets defense has been horrible all year. Give me the Bucks by at least 2 touchdowns.
Next up, the Falcons heading into Buffalo to take on the Bills. I'm going to go with the Bills to maintain their lead in the AFC East here. I think they know that all they got to do is win their last 2 games, and then they get another home playoff game like they did last year. So I'm going to go with the Bills at home over the Falcons.
I agree. I think the Falcons defense has been pretty bad all year. I think the Bills are going to roll in this one.
Next up, the Giants heading into Chicago to take on the Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears at home. I think Chicago looked pretty good last week with that win over Seattle in Seattle last week. So I'll go with the Bears at home over the Giants.
2 bad teams, but the Bears are at home. I agree with Scott. The Bears are pretty good on the road against Seattle. I think they're going to have some momentum coming off that game. Give me the Bears over the Giants in this one.
Next up, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in one of the most talked about games this week. They head into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Give me the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the better team here, so I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to get it done in Cincinnati against the Bengals.
As much as I'd like to pick Cincinnati, they have been up and down all year. Burrows and squad, they have a great game, then they have a down game. Great game. So I think, unfortunately, after their incredible game against Baltimore last week, they're going to have a down week, and then Kansas City's going to go in there and win.
Next up, the Dolphins coming in with a 7-game win streak heading into Tennessee to take on the Titans. Give me the Titans at home. I think A.J. Brown will have another massive game this week. I need him to in fantasy. I'll go with A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, and the Titans at home. 37 degrees on Sunday in Nashville. I'm going to go with the Titans at home over the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins' win streak comes to an end here. I like the Titans at home. I think they're a better overall team, plus they're playing at home. So give me Tennessee.
Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders heading into Indy to take on the Colts. I would love to see the Raiders win this game for probably one of the best guys in the NFL in history, in John Madden, but I don't think they get it done here. Give me the Colts at home over the Raiders.
This is a sentimental pick for me. I think the Raiders are going to play inspired football because of the death of John Madden. They're going to go in there. Derek Carr's going to have an incredible game. They're going to win a close one in Indianapolis.
If they were playing anybody else this week, I probably would have taken them, but you know.
Sure.
Next up, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags heading into New England to take on the Pats. I need Trevor Lawrence to put up some points this week. I guess my Uncle Steve does I want to win fantasy this week. I'll go with New England to win to get the win here at home over the Jags.
It's one of the easier games to pick. Jags are reeling. The Patriots are coming off 2 losses in a row. I don't see 3 losses for the Patriots. I think Patriots win pretty big here.
Next up, Philly and Washington. Give me Jalen Hurts and the Eagles to play much better than they did last week. They were sleepwalking in that first half last week against the Giants. I'll go with the Eagles on the road in Washington to maintain that 7th seed in the NFC with a win over the football team.
That NFC East is really hard to predict. You never know which of these mediocre teams is going to win from week to week. But I agree with Scott. I think the Eagles are a better team than the Washington football team. So give me the Eagles in this one.
Next up, the Rams heading into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. This is the game the Bucs need to go their way in the most amount of ways this week. So I don't think I can trust Jimmy G next week to get a win in LA. But I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. I think he's healthy. He was limping a little bit in practice yesterday. But I think Tyler Huntley will be back if they want to run the football. So I'm going to go with Baltimore at home over the Rams.
I badly want the Ravens to win this one. Unfortunately, I think the Rams have too many weapons and are too good of a football team. I think the Rams are going to win, but it'll be a close one.
Next up, the Denver Broncos heading into LA to take on the Chargers. The Chargers know they can't lose another game if they want to get into the playoffs. Right now, they're on the outside looking in, so I'm going to go with the Chargers at home over the Broncos.
Hardest team for me to predict this year has been the Chargers. They look great one week and look terrible the next week. I think this week they're going to look really good, even the Chargers.
Next up, the Houston Texans coming off that huge win last week against the Chargers as they head into Levi Stadium to take on the 49ers. Give me Jimmy G or Trey Lance this week. I think either one will do just fine this week. Give me the Niners at home over the Texans.
I agree. I think the Texans, had their best game last week. I think they're going to come down a little bit. The 49ers are a solid football team. Give me the Niners.
Next up, is probably the game of the week for most people here in the NFL. It'll be Kyler Murray and the Cardinals looking to end that 3-game losing streak as they head into Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Give me Dak Zeke and the Cowboys to give another big win here. They got a huge win last Sunday night against the football team, so I think Dallas will keep it going here. Give me the Cowboys at home to keep their hopes of the number 1 seed alive with a win over the Cardinals.
Yeah, this is a tough one to pick because the NFL has been so unpredictable this year. The Cardinals beat the Packers when you think there's no
They lost
chance.
to the Packers.
Oh, they lost Packers?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. Unpredictable, like I said. This week, Cowboys look really good. I think the Cowboys get the win against the Cardinals.
Next up, the Carolina Panthers heading into New Orleans to take on the Saints. Taysom Hill, I believe, is back, so I'm going to go with Taysom Hill and the Saints at home. If Ian Book was starting again, I probably would have taken Carolina, but Taysom Hill is back, so I'm going to go with New Orleans at home over the Panthers.
Man, the Panthers last week looked awful. They look like a team that had almost quit. I think the Saints are just better defensively. Give me the Saints.
Next up, the Detroit Lions heading into Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Give me Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, and the Seahawks at home. I think the Seahawks get their last win of the season right here. Give me the Seahawks at home over the Lions.
2 bad football teams. The Lions actually have played with some heart down the stretch, but being that it's on the road, give me Seattle.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings heading into Green Bay to take on the Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Boo.
4 degrees on Sunday in Green Bay at Lambeau Field on Sunday. The Vikings need to win this game to stay alive in the playoffs, but it's not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers will not lose to the Packers. Aaron Rodgers will
Boo.
now lose to the Vikings twice in 1 year. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home to get it done against the Vikings.
Boo.
As much as I'd like to pick the Vikings here, because I'd love to see them win, the fact that it's in Green Bay, I got to go with the Packers.
Next up, the Cleveland Browns coming off that embarrassing loss last week. Thanks for the help last week, Cleveland. We appreciate it. As they head into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers.
Tough game.
I'm going to be nice to Terry, I guess. I'll take the Steelers at home. I think this is Big Ben's last start at Heinz Field. Big Ben said he's probably retiring at the end of this year. So I'm going to go with the Steelers at home over the Browns.
I mean, I think the Browns are a better overall football team, but Mayfield was such a bad quarterback last week. He played awful, threw 4 interceptions. They still were in the game against the Packers. But, again, you've got Terry Jewell for the Wildcats, now Terry Jewell for the Steelers. I think that'll put them over the hump, giving the Steelers in a close one against the Browns.
And that will do it for this episode of Scott's Week Sports here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back next week to make our national championship predictions. And Luke Roberts, if you could send me some subscribers my way, that'd be awesome. This new cup is great, so give us some subscribers. And Stephen Battle, I'm still waiting on my 10 subscribers from you that you promised me 3 years ago. Happy New Year, everybody, and I'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Week in Sports. See you later.
Happy New Year, guys.